There's not much to do when all I can is thinking about you, not doing well.
Hello, I want to record another audio. And I had such a crazy day because I wanted to try a new adventure because I haven't been adventurous enough in the last few years. Yeah, I have to be a bit more careful. So I wanted to try this new beach, and it was a very difficult road to go there. So you had to come by taxi, and most taxis, they didn't want to go there because it seems that some sort of mafia family is owning that place. They charge for you to access the beach. But the craziest part is you have to walk down a very dangerous slope, which is literally 70 degrees, and there's hardly any protection. So it's like a hiking track, which is so steep and annoying because they don't warn you, so you're not prepared, you don't really know what to expect, and you just find a jungle road full of mosquitoes. Yeah, it's very narrow, and you cannot hold yourself anywhere, so you just have to be very careful. And if you don't have the right shoes with you, which usually when you go to the beach you're not prepared to go on a hike, yeah, you could slip and fall. And I wonder why there haven't been more accidents, because it's seriously crazy road, crazy path to walk. Down wasn't the worst, but to go up, because it's so hot in the country that I'm currently visiting. Man, this was just not for me. I thought I'm gonna get a heart attack, so I was seriously it was seriously annoying. And it's not, if it's like, I don't know, 100 meters, you can deal with that. But this path is like 1 kilometer. Seriously, it's at least 700, 800 meters. I mean, it takes you about 1 hour. It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe that people would actually do that to go to this damn beach. And then when you reach the beach, I mean, it was nice, yes, but it was small. And the problem was you couldn't even swim, because I tried to swim, but the water was so cloudy and the beach was full of rocks. So I got stuck between two rocks and a wave. The waves were so high, and a wave just smashed me out of these two rocks and kind of rescued me. So it wasn't a pleasant experience at all. You couldn't even see those rocks because the water was so cloudy. And I went inside, and oh, lo, 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 yoo-hoo, like this little girl with the pigtails from, what was it, like the girl who entered the room, and her father was on the, I think, CNN interview or something, and she was with her lollipop, lo, 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 lo. And the father, oh my god, like live interview. It's always like how I live, la loo 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 loo. And then the big shark comes in. Anyway, nobody was in the water, and I wondered why. And then I knew. I'm just not following people, but sometimes you need to follow other people. So I don't follow people's advice. I have to try everything myself. Yeah, and it just felt overall very dangerous, this place. Usually I try to do a little bit of research before I go to a place, and the reviews were all positive. And then I just looked at the negative reviews, and I realized that most people said the same what I was saying, but you have to look for negative reviews because they only feature the positive reviews online, obviously. And the mafia family tries to charge you again when you want to exit that place. So you have to be very firm and aggressive and threaten them with the police. It's just overall, it was just crazy. I don't know. It was not worth it, although it was a nice beach. You couldn't swim much. But okay, it was nice to see, but I seriously thought I'm gonna die on the way back. It was so hot. And I was wearing one of my nicest dresses, and flats, but open flats, like beach sandals, not flip-flops, but beach sandals, and they're open. And I didn't have other shoes with me. So how can you go on a hike when you're constantly slipping out of your shoes and it's so steep? So that's the problem, because if you have the right shoes, I mean, you can still kind of deal with the crazy hiking path, but I don't think I ever took such a path in normal shoes. I don't think I did. It was seriously crazy. Okay, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, I know, but I'm still in shock that people actually do that for like one entire hour just to access a stupid small beach. The path down wasn't so difficult. It was just full of wild pigs, and I took the most difficult path up because people told me it's faster. So it was my own stupid mistake. And people who walked down the first road already looked very annoyed, just like myself. And then the pets, those wild pigs, the pets of the mafia family, they were staring at you and eating, and you thought they're gonna attack you. So when you go back and you reach the top of the hill, big surprise! And suddenly, like, you had these 10 or 20 pigs coming by. I was surrounded by pigs. And that's not really the problem, but you only want to relax after this extreme experience. And I felt so fatigued. My heart was racing because you really couldn't take a break on this path up. There weren't many places to sit. And I was wearing my nice silk dress. Oh my God. And then you're suddenly surrounded by smelly pigs, and they're really cute animals. I can deal with that under normal circumstances, but not after such a procedure. You just want to have a drink and get over your annoyance and stress, and not suddenly have to, be the gardener, or what do you call it, of a bunch of pigs. And then you have all these pigs coming over you and putting their noses everywhere where they can reach you. So, and I mean, they smell. That's the only thing I always forget about pigs, that they're really smelly animals. But they're quite smart, I think. It was an interesting experience. And then the next thing was that there was no taxi. So we had to wait for 2 hours until we got one. And then there was some guy with some hookers, like seriously, some very, I don't know. I mean, the girls were just really weird and just not friendly. Also, they try to, girls, these type of girls, they always think they compete with other women somehow. And I just can't with them. They have nothing but their youth and beauty, and they think that everybody is just like that, and they compete with everyone and try to give you nasty looks. And so they stole our taxi because we ordered a taxi, and when a taxi came, yeah, they just took it and we didn't see it, and yeah, they just left. So unbelievable. And we had to wait another, I think, 1 hour or more, because there was no other taxi that wanted to come to this crazy place. Because of this mafia family, apparently they don't want any other taxis to enter, and the road is also crazy. So some taxis have damaged their tires, especially at night, because it started to get dark. So we were having dinner around the pigs, feeding the pigs. And I was talking to the girl who was working there, a very nice girl, and asking her, so what happens if, people want to come up when it's dark and you can see nothing. There were no lights and no security around this path, this crazy steep path. So what if people get stuck there or something? And she said, "Oh, I think it will be okay. No problem." She just didn't even understand what I was saying, I think. So because I I don't know, there must have been so many accidents there. I have to research. And it was really, really crazy. It was a crazy day. Oh my God. I don't need these type of adventures. I had some really nice adventures in my life, but this was, I don't want to die. I like life. I like living. And especially I don't want to die in that way or probably break my foot and end up somewhere in a hole because I fell down, a jungle hole somewhere and they have to rescue me with a helicopter. Oh God. And pull me out of that hole. And then the local newspapers report stupid woman, most stupid woman in the world, hiked up the most difficult beach path in flip-flops. I mean beach sandals, but they're kind of, for some people, they're flip-flops. They're not really flip-flops. now she's in a wheelchair. That's actually not funny, but kind of. Just because she wanted some fun by the beach. Completely unprepared. I think nobody would pity me because of my stupidity. So now it's kind of funny to think about it. So it's because it's just memorable. So sometimes you probably need this type of experiences because the last weeks were so quiet and peaceful and nice. So it's spicing up things if you know you could be dying. When you get older, you can't have so many of these crazy adventures anymore. Actually, I don't care, but I just want to make sure I don't break my leg or something. And because the worst part would be to end up with some serious injuries in this world and you can't do anything. So I'm fine with everything challenging as long as I can keep my body healthy, and I'm kind of protected by source. I feel I've always been protected by something higher, even if that sounds ridiculous to some. But I escaped the word. I escaped, trape. I don't know if you can say, I heard you cannot say this word on YouTube, which is bizarre. I don't understand why. But it seems that I had something within me which protected me from the worst situations. I always had some inner knowledge how to deal with people, and I feel that something is trying to take that away from me. There was one story when I went out with a friend. We were in Copenhagen, and she suddenly decided she just wants to leave. We went out with two guys that we met at a bar, and yeah, she suddenly just disappeared and left me alone with them. I didn't have enough money with me, and it was quite a long way back to our hotel. I don't remember anymore what happened with her. I mean, it ended our friendship, obviously. They picked us up by car, and when you're two girls, usually guys don't do anything. I never experienced or heard anything. You're fine as two girls, It's just hard for guys to deal with two women. So I had to trust them to take me home. And of course, I was shaking and scared. And yes, they stopped by a small forest and decided they want to have a smoke while it was getting darker and darker and darker. I was alone with two guys, and they could also barely speak English. Yeah, so of course I thought, now I'm getting draped. It was not funny. I was shaking. I was scared. So I don't know how I felt what I have to do, but I took the hand of the guy that I felt closest to, that I was talking to most of the time. And I looked into his eyes and I behaved like his girlfriend, like I was in love with him. And I put my head on his shoulder. You know, I was just lovey-dovey, sweet, innocent. Looked into his eyes. Eye contact is very important in such situations. And you know, it took maybe 20 minutes. They were talking. They kept talking and talking and talking, discussing something in a foreign language. And then suddenly the guy that, you know, I was holding his hand and I was seriously sending love energy over to him. I was focusing on sending him, you know, focusing on love energy and behaving like his girlfriend, like I was in love with him. Romantic energy. And he suddenly decided, he said something to his friend, and they decided, oh, we're gonna leave. So they took me back to my hotel. Nothing happened. Oh, God. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? And of course, he never contacted me again, and I would not have responded. So, wow, you know, what a situation. So, the important part that I noticed is to not break the connection between you and the other person, and to not express any fear or any insecurity, you know, nervousness, and to create a close connection if you can, if you know what I mean. I'm just saying how I felt during that time and what I noticed in such situations. You cannot, under any circumstances, create a distance or a barrier between you and that person, because that's how they will attack you. That's how they will hurt you. You have to keep a bond between you and the person who might plan to harm you. So that's when I realized I have some inner wisdom. I can soften people. I can tame the demon in people. I think everybody can do that, but I don't know how I knew what to do. I just did it. The second time was we we went, me and another friend, God, I just did so many crazy things. I cannot even talk about it because most people would think I'm just stupid. But, you know, I'm not stupid. I just feel I'm protected most of the time. And I never care too much because I never got into serious trouble because I have something just keeping me protected from seriously dangerous situations. So the last years, I had some of the worst things happen to me regarding that, you know, people. But it wasn't like that in the past. This is why somehow I trusted people more than the average person, because I could handle all sorts of different, you know, people and situations as a very young kid already. And I was never scared. I built up this survival instinct as a very young girl, as a little girl, because my parents let me do my own thing early on. And yes, and I remember that one time was somebody, a very weird person, in front of a white van. The van was open and this person was offering me candy. And I mean, I was like every child, I was obsessed with chocolate and candy. And this guy, it didn't even look like, I remember this person didn't look like a woman, and it also didn't look like a man. It was something in between. So I could see something demonic or something weird. And this person, whatever it was smiling in a weird way. Maybe they were even dressed like a clown or something. You know, today I think, oh my God, I know what happened that day. I will never forget because it was so weird. But when I was a little kid, of course, I didn't know what this person was planning to do. But I remember there was a van with an open door just nearby. It was seriously like 3-4 meters. And this person was offering me candy. And when I tried to reach out my hand, the person was pulling it back. So to make me come closer. And for some reason, I just felt something was off. So I started screaming and ran away. And it was definitely the right thing to do. Yeah. I mean, I will never forget that situation. I don't know why. I never forgot about that day. I could sense that something was wrong with that person. This was my luck. And I got lost in a mall one time. My parents couldn't find me. And there was a man taking my hand, and trying, and I thought it was my father. And suddenly I noticed this was not my dad. And I also started just screaming. I didn't, like a crazy, crazy girl. I started screaming, and the man just let go and ran away. I just had this instinct when people were dangerous. And so my parents then found me because I was screaming. Nobody was screaming like that. So they found me suddenly when I started to scream. Oh God, boy, yeah. And so what I wanted to say, the other time when I almost got trapped, I went with another girl. We went into the hotel room with this guy. We met at a party, and he was a Russian. And I don't know why we did that. It was just, we didn't, God, and I didn't do much the sea. But that day we just wanted to try it. I think I was 21 or 22. I think it was the second time or third time. I don't remember actually. But we just went back for that. And because he said, okay, you can have as much as you want. And we just wanted to have some. I'm not somebody who even does that stuff. I haven't done for a long time. I only do it sometimes to write songs, but I haven't written songs for a long time because I feel that I get a connection to some entities through that. But usually the next day I feel so miserable and I'm seriously suicidal that I don't do it. I cannot do it regularly. And I prefer to do it alone because when I get down, or how do you say, when I get off, when it wears off, I just behave very strange. I cannot even talk anymore. So I just start to mumble and jumble a lot of nonsense, just like now, just like on all my videos. And so I can't really do it a lot with people. I enjoy it while being creative because somehow it connects me to something. But with people, sometimes the first 2 hours are fine and then I behave strange and I just don't enjoy it anymore because I feel embarrassed. I don't feel I have control over myself anymore. So we went with that very strong Russian guy. It was so stupid. So we went to his apartment and for some reason, he didn't like my girlfriend. He told her, just leave, you're annoying me and blah, blah. And she also behaved really childish that day. I don't know why. She just started to be, also, I found her to be really annoying. So I got along quite well with that person, with that guy. But I didn't know him. I met him at a party, and I also felt that most people there were kind of scared of him or intimidated. He was he owned some businesses and he was a dangerous looking guy in some way. But he was very nice and sweet to us. And so I always tried not to judge a book by its cover. Anyway, I kind of like this person, so I didn't think he would even expect something from us because I'm stupid, I know. So we went to this place and yeah, he kind of had an argument with my friend And he just threw her out. He said, just leave, leave. And by that time, I took like 3 lines or 4 lines, and I was not feeling so well. And I couldn't just leave because I just felt dizzy. So I waited. I also drank some, I think I had some tequila actually, which is not the best thing to mix. Yes, I just decided to just sit there a bit, and we spoke a lot with him, so I didn't feel he was dangerous. But suddenly when she left, he just came over, and he was so big and heavy, and he took me and threw me onto his bed and said, "Oh, I really like you," and blah blah. But he was holding me, and I was just not, I didn't know what to do. I didn't scream. I didn't say anything. I just knew this is now a dangerous situation because I couldn't even think straight. So while I was lying on this bed, he was holding me down and trying to rip my clothes off. I decided to use my trick. So I looked into his eyes because he was kind of looking at me. And I looked into his eyes and I told him, "I love you." So I did that a couple of times. And what did I do? Yes, and I was just I spoke very softly in a gentle voice. I tried to stay very calm, although I was scared, of course. But I knew I liked him and I didn't have a bad energy with this person. I felt, I can calm him down. What happened then was he started to cry because first it didn't work for a while, but I just repeated, and I was very, I didn't scream, and I was very I had a very gentle voice. I used a very gentle tone, and I remained completely calm, not nervous. I didn't show nervousness. And he stopped and started to cry and apologized. Yeah, and he just like cried like a baby, and he let go of me. This big guy was crying. Sometimes people who are violent and they they have trauma also, but you cannot count on that always. For some reason I just knew what to do. I'm not saying try that at home. Don't try that at home. Maybe I was lucky, but I was lucky a couple of times like that. So I'm protected by source for some reason with all my stupid adventures that I took. So I never had something really crazy happen to me. The last couple of years, something's happened. Yeah, but I repeat myself, I know. But yeah, so he let go of me, and then he wanted to offer me cocaine to take home with me, like I don't know, like a lot actually, like 3 or 4 grams, like some bags. I don't know how much, but like some large bags. He said, "Take them with you." And I said, "No, thanks. I had enough." I didn't need more. And I promised myself I will never do this stuff again. So he suddenly became very sweet and called me a cab, and I mean, he also paid for it like a real gentleman. I'm here by the beach now doing some edits. Sorry, the beach. Yeah, some people say I show up on vacation. If you would know, you simple people who assume things. My life is a vacation. I don't go on vacation ever. I don't go on vacations just like normal people. I'm a very happy person. I don't take vacations. I'm sorry, I just don't. When I want to do something, when I want to go somewhere, I just go. And I stay away from people who are like that and try to drag others down out of jealousy. It's just sad that some people are like that. They don't even understand their evil nature and, their shadow side, how evil they actually are. I'm not saying people are just evil. It's always both, but they can see themselves. Type of things, I noticed that people can be turned around, and I never understood why women didn't try that when they when they are in such dangerous situations, but they just they don't know, they don't have this. Because I had this type of feeling from a very young age. I had this knowledge how to turn people around in some way, how to kill the demon or how to soften the demon in them. And quite a lot of people can have demons. The demon, when the demon comes out, I have my demons. When they come out, triggers and everything. I mean, yeah, I can soften my own demons now. But yeah, I think many people can have, can have reactions and can behave poorly, and sometimes they don't even know what they're doing. So this is why sometimes I took too high risks in my life, or I went to places, like I traveled to different countries and I went to the most dangerous area and just walked down, no protection, nothing with me, and dressed up like whatever, high heels, and no, nothing can happen to me. And nothing ever happened. Nothing ever really happened. The people who hurt me were actually people whom I knew, but unfortunately not as good as I thought. Those were people who actually became violent with me. Like, sort of. I had some people who became violent with me, like some girlfriends and one guy, which I mentioned before. But those were people that I actually knew longer. I didn't just trust them blindly. So sometimes I'm in shock with those type of people because it's just so unexpected. As I feel I can deal better with strangers than with people that I know, because I'm usually so shocked when they betray me. Anyway, it's just what happens. So I feel I'm kind of protected by Source, and I always remind myself that there is a higher power watching over me. But the last years have been seriously strange. I mean, we all know that. And I almost lost my belief in this world, and I almost lost my belief in this protection. But yeah, it was, I mean, I was suffering from chronic pain for a while. It wasn't like constantly, but it started around 2016, 2015 was not so bad. And then 2016, 2017, 2018 was probably the worst time, the worst year regarding the pain that I had. And I just didn't know what was going on with me. And it was such incredible pain that also changed my psyche. And I was dealing with that for longer, but I somehow found remedies, natural remedies like serapeptase, and I kind of was okay. I had it influenced me psychologically, but I wasn't aware how bad I actually felt. And then 2018 just reached a peak where things turned really ugly. And yeah, I will tell this in another video. I just wanted to say, I wanted to speak about these techniques because later I found some books where they talk about psychic abilities, and they speak about exactly those kind of things, how you can, establish eye contact with a person that is trying to hurt you, and you tell them you love them. So you literally use love, the strongest power in this universe, to soften, tame the demon. I think that's what Natural Born Killers, oh yes, oh my god, yes, Natural Born Killers mentions the term only love tames the demon. Only love tames the demon. And I have found this to be true. Now, I'm not a rainbow lovey-dovey person. I have a very strong personality also, and I feel you have to develop and establish both your shadow side. You have to embrace your shadow, but you should also be the loving and sweet person on the other end. But if you lose your balance, if you go too much to one extreme, it's not beneficial, it's not healthy. And I see people struggling a lot who don't embrace their shadow. They keep projecting and they have very difficult lives. I don't say my life was only easy, definitely not. I think my life was 51% amazing, like dreams came true that, I don't know, a lot of dreams, things that I never thought could be possible came true and were even better than I imagined. But I also have to say 49% of my life were literally like some of it, maybe 20%, were literally like in the worst horror movie you can imagine. And I probably can never talk about some of these things because I don't know. I just don't know if I can talk about them. It's just too difficult. And it's very difficult for people to understand some of the things that happened. They would call me crazy or they would blame me for what happened. So they cannot really comprehend the whole story. So some things of my life have been a real horror movie. But yeah, and also I had bad things happen, really bad things. Like some people didn't experience so many bad things, but I also think many people didn't experience so many good things. So it's a good balance with tendency to the good in my life. I think it's probably 55% good in my life, but there was also a lot of terrible stuff. I mean, those horror stories, they made me suicidal for times, and I but I always had a dark side, and I don't really, I'm not scared of my own darkness. I'm not scared of the feelings that I sometimes have where I'm just fed up with everything. But on the other end, I know that life has so many beautiful things to offer in this world. And I'm fed up with people and the instinct of humanity because I've just sensed things from a very young age, and I've sensed things that later came out to be true about human beings and the nature of human beings and how easy it is to deceive them and how gullible they are and how it's just their nature. That's how I feel today, and it's not even really their fault. So a lot of people are projecting their shadow and they're blaming people who are actually not at fault. They're also deceived. So a lot of people who are actually being deceived blame others who are also being deceived and are fighting against each other, and everyone thinks they are in the right, and both are somehow in the right because they're being deceived. But the reality is somebody else, something else. And I don't think it's entities only. I think it's often people who have more power than they should have because they like to play these games, human beings. They feel weak. Excuse me. It's hard to explain anyway. The older I got, the more I grow up in that sense, the more I feel scared about the reality of human nature. Not because of entities or demons or Satan or God or evil God. No, my reality is more what I have seen from human nature is seriously disturbing. Human nature is disturbing to me. And most people cannot see it the way I see it. And I have to say that what I sensed as a child, I told to my therapist, because I went to therapy, and I told my therapist, and I had 3 therapists, and I didn't keep therapy up for a long time, but sometimes I just felt I needed it and I needed somebody to talk to. And it was good for me, but I had this experience with one of my therapists. She died, and she was a very overweight woman, and then I saw what she wrote about me, and it was so horrible and so disgusting how she portrayed me. And so I didn't trust therapists for a long time after that. But then I found somebody very cute and nice, a gay guy. And yeah, and I spoke to him, and he also was an astrologer. So we had this connection about astrology. So he understood my chart and everything. That made it much easier to express everything. And he was kind of fascinated. It felt he was a bit fascinated. I don't know. So, and gay people don't have an easy life, and it's much easier to bond with them if you're a more complex personality than the average person. So I expressed what happened to me in Munich and how people were kind of behaving strangely in front of my apartment. The therapist who died portrayed me as an empty-headed Barbie doll, so she didn't listen to me at all. I could sense how superficial people were, and so many people, when I expressed that, they told me, oh, you're just insecure. Always this thing in Germany, oh, you're just insecure, blah, blah. And because I always sense that people judge everything by appearances, by superficial terms. And I could sense it from age 16 that somehow I was clairaudient. I could not hear. I was not schizophrenic. I could sense people's thoughts. And I could somehow feel them above my crown chakra on the top of your head, behind. And I always had, when people passed by, I could sense their thoughts sometimes, and I didn't know, was I crazy? And when I told this to people, they told me, oh, you're just insecure. But they were always judging appearances. They were always looking at somebody and judging the appearance. And usually it was not in a positive way. When I left to the United States, this changed. I didn't hear negative thoughts anymore. In Europe, I only sense negative thoughts of people. So Americans and Europeans are 2 different worlds. Europeans are completely negative people. Americans are so much more positive people. This is why I don't have social anxiety in America, because I can sense their positive thoughts. And in Europe, I can sense their negative thoughts, and it made me so insecure because of that. But I wasn't wrong. You understand? So people judge everything by appearances. Also, not what you say, but the tone of your voice or your language. If you have an accent, they will judge you like, oh, I have a very clean German, but my English sounds, obviously I have an accent. So some people will judge me as Eastern European or some nonsense BS when I have just very good education, perfect, clean German, academic German. I speak better than most Germans, actually. I have no accent in German. And yeah, that makes a huge difference how people treat you and how people regard you. And then later, I found this book where scientific studies literally proved my sense, my intuition, my clairaudient feelings, because I constantly could hear people talking negatively about appearance, about how you say things, but mostly appearances, and stupid things, like really ridiculous stuff. So when I spoke to my therapist about that, they told me, oh, this is just in your head. It's your insecurities. It's your you just imagining this because you're insecure, you need to work on yourself. The astrologer didn't say that, but people just sometimes don't understand a high intuition. So later I realized, when I found the scientific studies, that I was right. It's I think there are two books, Persuasion by Robert Cialdini and Influence. These two books, they're bestsellers. At least one is a bestseller. And those were studies they did. So 55%, I think 55% is people judge you on appearance. The other 37, I guess, I think it's 37. I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Is just by your language. And it's not what you say, it's your language. It's Cambridge English. People with Cambridge English will have an advantage. They will seem more, whatever. I fell for that so often, and I hate myself because I'm also human, and I fell for so many of these things, and I have to remind myself, because we're all stupid in that sense. And only 7% is what you actually say. That means that human nature is so utterly superficial, beyond imagination. And people are so unaware, most people are so unaware how much their appearance actually has to do with how their life will turn out. And it's not just, it's not how you were born, but how you dress, how you present yourself. And, if you wear designer clothes, if you wear cheap clothes. So unfortunately, that's more important than intelligence. That's the sad fact. Your image, your how you present yourself. And so many people, they just pretend to be authorities by presenting an image, and it works. And people fall for it because they are superficial. You don't realize what I'm saying, some of you. What I'm trying to explain here is that most people believe, they form an opinion logically and rationally, but they often use their eyes, and they form opinions based on superficial stereotypes they have seen, they have been programmed with. And that's a huge problem. That's a huge shock if you realize this reality in humanity. And a lot of people use the superficiality of human beings by presenting this, dressing like an authority, or using the doctor title, fake doctor titles and everything. That's what I mean. Human beings are extremely simple. And I've learned to trust my intuition much more. A lot of things about human existence are extremely disturbing. And you cannot even blame them. That's the hardest thing, because you cannot blame them for their nature. And I'm always trying to self-reflect and be objective about my own behavior, because I find my own behavior often seriously disturbing, how my moods fluctuate based on environments. There was also this experiment where they put a guy in front of a flower shop, and he got more numbers from women than ever. Human nature is so stupid, because I'm the same, and I know, and it's hard for me to be different because I'm human, even when I self-reflect. And I just wonder, how many things don't I notice about my own behavior, my own ideas, and my own opinions. Also, how I judge people based on, those things. And of course, I cannot always self-reflect and be objective with myself. It's impossible. And that's what I find very disturbing, and this is saddening to me, to notice the kind of smallness of human existence. That's probably why these families also, they reject humanity, because they have seen and studied a lot of these things that Christians and many people, they just don't know, and they see humans as these like lovely Christians with the halo, and they're all good, and I don't know. The thing is, you cannot even blame them. That's the part. I'm telling you, Christians, you don't see it all. You really don't. And I think they just reject their humanity because they have seen and studied, scientifically researched a lot of the stuff. And it is frightening when you see it for what it really is. I cannot even talk about all of it because I forgot so many things. If I would write them down, it's, yeah, I maybe I will make a video on some of these things that I've noticed. And then I read books on it also, and yeah, I realized more of my intuition was actually spot on and had nothing to do with my insecurities. No, 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 no. Negative vibration. Not at all. They were not my insecurities. Okay, I will not do more editing on this. I will just upload the end parts. If it's a bit messy, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I'm going to sleep now. Big kiss and take care. Speak soon, hopefully. Bye.
Say what you wanna say,